a little bit of help to ciphering the words here on page 22. And this description of Rabitzla's description of his father's Hanhaga, or Chaim Levin's Hanhaga, that he writes here, V'im, you see it there, it's the V'im Kirubei Dvarov, the Droshosa, that Chaim Volozhin would give droshes. He explains later, and it was Yadua, that Chaim Volozhin was obviously the Gadol Ador, one of the Gedolei Ador in a big Rosh Yeshiva, but he was makpid also always to go to the shul with the Pshutei Am in Volozhin, and he would speak there after davening every day with in the parsha of the week, and he would speak very simple things. He was a huge mekubal and a huge Talmud Chacham and a posek, he wrote Shuvos, but he would speak Dvarim, Peshutim. That was all part of his avoda. He speaks about that a little bit later. But here he just alludes to the fact, and he says, V'im, Kirubei Dvarav, the drashos haya'imnim b'ruma shalaylam, that when you would listen to the drashos of Reb Chaim Volozhin, he would say things that were very, very high. Ruma shalaylam. Yusadim, it was all based on Pizayar v'kisvei ha'arizal. You don't think of, the ultimate Litvisher Rosh Yeshiva speaking in Zoyar and Arizal. It's not the usual way that it goes. Usually speaking Musar or speaking, more simple things. But his words were always Miyusadim al Pizayar v'kisvei Arizal kasher ha'mevinim hevinu b'dvarav. And those that understood. Meaning that there was, the way I'm understanding this, is that when he would speak, there was a number of levels to understanding him. This is important for us, as we're going to say. There's a number of ways of understanding him. So the Mevinim would listen to him speak, and they would hear Kabbalah, Zohar, Arizal, the things that he's saying, or Rumah Shalaylam. But that was the Mevinim. What about the rest of the people? He didn't lose them. Huzal, he, Olav Shalom, me'anava sidkasai. In his anava, he'll be sham, v'hivshitam, v'gadzam. He would wear them, take them off, and hide them. So it means to say that he disguised his Kabbalah. He had the levush, it's a mekubal. He had the levush, but he would hide that levush. He'll be sham, meaning he learned, v'hivshitam, v'ganzam. L'val yagdil devarav, and it would never seem that he was raising up his words, kedorish b'nistares, as if he's speaking Kabbalah. So the Mevinim understood that he was speaking Divrei Kabbalah, but it was disguised in a very simple language. Lamtikam kedvash v'cholav tachas l'shoina. It's a pasuk in Shir Hashirim. He would make them sweet like honey and like milk, honey and milk. My mother used to give me that when I was a kid. Honey and milk is a sweet treat. It's a tachas l'shoina. U'keboisim tachas levushay, like a nice spice under his levush. Miladorshan lahedya bahaman. And he would be careful how he darshan mefurish in Kabbalah when he was Bahamon amongst the masses. Rabbim shloimilu kreisam b'talmud, and there were many people that were not baki b'shas. They weren't malei kreisai b'talmud. So it says in Shulchan Aruch, what he's alluding to is in Shulchan Aruch, it says, based on Chazal, that you're not allowed to learn Kabbalah ad she'malei kreisai b'talmud, b'avli. You're not allowed to learn Kabbalah until malei kreisai. So just agav, like the Pashut Pshat is that you don't learn Kabbalah, like Kabbalah's dessert, right? So you don't learn Kabbalah until it's malei kreisai b'shasu pleiskevus, says the Shulchan Aruch. You have to first have a good basis, right? It can hurt your digestive system to go right for the Kabbalah. First you have to coach yourself with Shas and Paiskim. Now you have a way to understand the Pashta Havana, that is, that you don't really understand it if you don't have a basis of what Torah is. People think they do. It's either all these Kabbalah centers, etc., like skip right to the dessert. Like, not that they even know what the Kabbalah is necessarily, but the idea is like, that's the part which is spiritual, that's the part which is inspiring, and that's the part which makes people feel like they're big, Kabbalists. But what they're missing over there is the Bali Kreisei B'Shas and Paiskim. You're going right for the. So he was careful with that. Shlit'a Kreisei Rabbi and Shlit'a Kreisei Talmud Li Toyer Mimay. And they're also another caveat or condition to learning Kabbalah is Li Toyer Mimay Beruach Nachay B'Yiras Hashem. You have to be full of your Shamayim. This, I don't know if anybody has it, the very beautiful translation of the Nefesh HaChaim that just came out from my friend Avinoam Frankel, who's a wonderful Balabayas who lives in Beit Shemesh down there. What's it called? No, Beit Shemesh, Rabbi David. Schoenfeld, yeah. He's I think a computer programmer or something like that. But he took a number of years and he translated the Nefesh HaChaim. He called it Nefesh HaTzimtzum. It came out 2 thick volumes on Nefesh HaChaim. Beautiful, beautiful work. Every word he's medayik, and it's just like it's a worthwhile sefer. He just came out a few weeks ago. So just very interesting. Let me just say a little bit why I'm mentioning this. That I'm a publisher. He's a friend. So he came to me maybe 2 years ago, and he said that he wants to publish this book on Nefesh HaChaim, which will be the manuscript. Fantastic, right? So I'm interested in doing it. It's such a classic work. Nefesh HaChaim never been translated that I know of. It's never been translated into English. So when I spoke to the distributor, the distributor said that they can't distribute. You can publish whatever you want, but they can't distribute it because Rav Moshe Paskind that you're not allowed to translate the Nefesh HaChaim into English. Okay, and Rav Moshe is not here to re-ask this shaila. So I researched this a little bit more. What actually happened was that years ago when Art Scroll started and they did their classic series, so somebody came with the translation of Nefesh HaChaim, and it was a wonderful thing, and Rav Moshe said, you can't translate Nefesh HaChaim. It's too Kabbalistic to translate. It doesn't belong in English. Not everything has to be translated. It belongs in Hebrew. So then years later, the same person came to Feldheim, and Rav Moshe was nifter already, so Feldheim, maybe not knowing the story, went to Rav David Feinstein, and Rav David Feinstein said, my father already paskin. You're not allowed to translate the Nefesh HaChaim. So the distributor told me, like, you can't distribute something that's connected to the psak of Rav Moshe and Rav David Feinstein. So I told him that I'm not going to be Ibra Chacham on this one, so I can't publish it. But so they found another publisher. It's not a problem, but it's a beautiful sefer, albeit seemingly connected the psak. But he didn't say you shouldn't translate it; you shouldn't publish it. So all he did was translate it. So it's out there. But it's beautiful work that he did. Shouldn't be. I don't know. It's a beautiful work. But when he came to me, this was the part of the story. He came to me, so I said, look, I read it, and I said, this is like really, really good stuff, but it needs tweaking. I told him in my humble opinion, it needs some tweaking, and you should speak to maybe some of the the Mekubalim to try to get like a tweak of some of the understanding, because like if you don't really understand it, so then you might say it wrong, apropos to what he's saying. So he said, who should I speak to? Okay, me. But I'm not a Mekubal. So I said, I should speak to Rav Shemaiah Morgenstern. Do you know who he is? He's Chashuv, a Siddish Jew in Geula, in Kani Geula. Wrote many Svarim. He's like a rabbi, speaks English, and go to him. So I thought the project would die right there because not that I wanted to, but he's a kanoi and very. So he looked at it and he said to him, "Look, it's very good. It just needs to be tweaked, So so he sent him to Rav Schatz. Rav Schatz is like probably the biggest makubal in the world in Neisharim. Very, very big makubal. I mean, I'm not talking about makubal and people doing miracles or giving you command. I'm talking about people that really know their Kabbalah. And Rav Schatz doesn't know English, but he relied on Rav Morgenstern. He said, Beseder, he said, let's do this together. Went through it. He went through it with him for a year. Before he did, he said to him, there are certain things you have to do. This is a computer programmer in Schoenfeld. He's a good guy, but I mean, he says, but first you have to be matire yourself completely and elevate yourself in your shamayim. Okay, and he gave him instructions, step-by-step instructions as to how to reach the madrega, to be able to understand and translate and do the Nefesh HaChaim. So he said he went through a whole course in the introduction to that book. That's what I'm saying, is I'm not saying something which not known. In the introduction, he says that he had to go through a whole spiritual refinement in order to be able to start this discussion before the Rav would even have the discussion with him. And he went through this, and he thanks him for the introduction, for bringing him to a whole different level of Ruchnius. And he translated it. And part of the thing was that it's said that the Nefesh HaChaim was written as a polemic, if that's the right word, against the Balatanya. In other words, Balatanya wrote about Tzimtzum, and the Nefesh HaChaim wanted to write a sefer to explain why the Balatanya wasn't correct. So this Rav Schatz told him that in his opinion this was the most ridiculous. Nefesh HaChaim wrote the sefer because he wrote the sefer. He didn't write it as a reaction to something else. It's a serious sefer, and that it's talking about a lot of the same inyanim is because those were the inyanim that were on the floor at the time, and it's very interesting because they say that that Lubavitcher Rebbe Olav Shalom, who was a huge Talmud Chacham, certainly knew Tanya. He before he became Rabbi, so he got a hold of a Nefesh HaChaim, and he was learning Nefesh HaChaim like all day, and everywhere he would go, Lubavitcher Rebbe, everywhere he would go, he was quoting Nefesh HaChaim. Nefesh HaChaim says this, Nefesh HaChaim says that. And his father-in-law, who was the previous Lubavitcher Rebbe, says, well, maybe we should just replace the Tanya with the Nefesh HaChaim. Like, what are you doing? Like, we have our own sefer. What are you getting involved so much with the Nefesh HaChaim? But I was like, that's, he saw obviously in the Nefesh HaChaim something which wasn't the Tanya. The point I want to bring out is that there's a lot of important points in this story, but one is it's not for everybody. Kabbalah is not for everybody. This is a sefer of Kabbalah. In a sense, it's a sefer of Kabbalah, but it has to be done in the derech that the derech of Reb Chaim Volozhin. The derech of Reb Chaim Volozhin was not to be megala that which is not supposed to be megala to people, as he says, who are not. First of all, malei kreisam b'shas u'poiskim. Otherwise, you're not megala. You don't reveal the whole thing. And also that they have a certain level of Tara and you're a Shemayim. So that like really counts most of us out, right? So what happens is that what Reb Chaim's trick, he says here, was to disguise. In other words, the Mevinim heard that he was speaking Kabbalah, but the Amaratzim heard that he was speaking Musar, and that was okay. So the first person was like Rashi. So they say Rashi wrote a sefer, and a Ben Chamish Lemikra gets so much out of Rashi, and huge Talmidei Chacham also get so much out of Rashi. Like that was the godless of the sefer of Rashi. That was the godless of the drushes of Reb Chaim Volozhin. That it worked on every different level. Agav, just while I'm here, I learned to the kollel of Avat Shalom, which is a Kabbalah kollel with Rav Yaacov Hillel, and I wasn't so much. I was more in the Nigla department. But, it was there. It was there. So he said that he was makabel for his Messiah, that Balei Kreisai B'Shasu Poiskim, that everybody has a different, like some people, until, like the mashal of Chazal is, until your stomach is full with Shasu Poiskim. So it's like, like it's like a meal, like one person will be full with a little piece of vegetables, another person needs a steak, another person needs 3 steaks, kolafi bashu ha'atam. So balei kreisa is a subjective term. It's not, there's no it's not about finishing shas necessarily or understanding all poskim, but like you have to be able to line the abdomen with shas and poskim before you can put in Kabbalah. But it's not necessarily a finite amount of knowledge that you have to have, but you have to have malay kreisai, which has a poskim. That's what he said. I'm not sure. I don't know if that was the kavanah or not, but that's what he said. But this Indian over here is that he was careful to talk. Kav sham tachas levusha. He hid it under his levush. Iladarsham lahadya b'hamayim. Rabbim shlamilu kreisam b'talmud. So they shouldn't be pulling false ropes. Seems like on the other hand, according to the need of the time, now this is where he might be referring to the outcoming of Chasidus at the time. At the same time, he felt that according to the needs of the time, it's important to reveal certain things and not to hide them. I'll tell you, like you're not allowed to be Megala Sod. You're not allowed to reveal things which are secrets. Kabbalah are secrets, and you're not allowed to reveal secrets. So, I was once thinking, bothered, that the Arizal was Megala so many secrets. It says before that if you're Megala Soid, so Makatrin is Yama. You have the opposite of Arichas Yamim. So the Arizal was Megala Soid more than the Arizal, so he died at 33. Halay Dover. The Rabchal came along and he was Megala Soid. He died at 39. Reb Nachman Breslover, I think it was 37 or something like that when he died. All these people were Megala Soid, so they died very young. And then, in our times, so Aryeh Kaplan wrote a book called Inner Space, so where he's Megala a lot of Kabbalah, and then he died. So in the inside book flap of the Inner Space, whoever put that out had the chutzpah to say that he revealed so much to our generation, maybe too much, and he died. And then shortly after that, my very good friend and chavrusa, who Rabbi Kersner, I went together with in Brisk. So it was my chavrusa, and he was a gadol. He was a Brisker guy who gave a gadol in Kiruv, and what he would do is he taught like Nefesh HaChaim and Ramchal and Ramak, and I learned together with him all these things, and it was unbelievable. Like he took his very very lumdish ahead, Iluyish ahead, and he put it into Sifrei Machshava, and he was Megala Makarav a lot, and then he died. He died very young. So when I was the first time I was asked to give a shiur in Ramchal, I went to ask Rav Scheinberg if I should teach this altogether. Ramchal, teaching it to Balei Tshuva, even not yet Balei Tshuva. Like what's the? So he says, why not? So I told him my whole story about why it might not be a good idea to teach Kabbalah. So he says to me, like very immediately, spontaneously, he says, well, if you know it, then it's obviously not Kabbalah. So it's not soy. Like what like so that's me. That's my heter. Hashem should give us all a Rikas Yom.
So we're all safe also.
Yeah, so we're all good. So what?
We were humbling ourselves.
But what it comes down to is really what he's saying over here. He spoke for the regular people, and what he spoke, you could understand it as Divrei Kabbalah, but he spoke things which you could also understand as simple things, and that's what he did.
How old was he?
He 74.
Oh.
That was I think old in those days. No? Yeah, we learned before Ayin Dalet.
But he didn't publish the Nefesh.
He didn't publish it.
Good point.
Yeah. Hayakara alatzmai. This I just want to spend a minute on over here. There's my stories here. Hayakara alatzmai. He would say, "Loya medrash ikar ela hamaisa." Umamela nishma kavanase al sefer the Mishnah. And what he really meant was the end of the Mishnah, which is Chol Amar B'Dvarim Mevichet. So that's in Pirkei Avos. In Pirkei Avos it says, Lo HaMedrash Ikar Ela HaMaisa. Let's just want to analyze this Mishnah because I think it's very nogeya for us. Lo HaMedrash Ikar Ela HaMaisa. The main thing is not to preach, the main thing is to do. The main thing is not to learn, the main thing is to do. Lo HaMedrash Ikar Ela HaMaisa. It's good to darshan, but the ikar is lamaisa. What he means here is that when he spoke in a way that was halacha lamaisa, meaning I don't mean halacha lamaisa el chasitzos necessarily, but he brought it down to the whole difference between Kabbalah and Chassidus. It's the same stuff really, but the whole difference in Kabbalah and Chassidus is that this was the chiddush of the Baal Shem Tov, that there's Kabbalah derech avoda. Derech Avoda is Lo HaMedrash Ikar Ela HaMaisa. It's not esoteric. It's not just out there to know things. It's helping us in our avodah. So Lo HaMedrash Ikar Ela HaMaisa. It says in Pirkei Avos. At the end of the Mishnah is V'chol Hamar B'Dvarim Mevichet. What does that mean? Chol Hamar B'Dvarim Mevichet.
It's like we said on Shabbos, Cheshbonis.
Cheshbonis.
No?
Maybe. V'chol Hamar B'Dvarim. Anybody talks too much. Mevichet. So it goes together, it's the same sentence as Lo HaMedrash Ikar Ela HaMaisa. You can get carried away with the, like you're saying, like I'm saying, you can get carried away with the medrash, with the darshaning, and never bring it to a place where people are going to change. Like it's always important, whenever anybody has the zchus to speak with Tzibor, is to ask yourself, I do this regularly, you can say these, you can come up with these wonderful, what you might think are like very profound ideas, but the real question to ask yourself is, what do you want the people to do? Like, therefore what? So what? So tachlis, right? So, Lo HaMedrash Ikar Ela HaMaisa. But here you have like tougher even. V'chol Hamar B'Dvarim Mevichet. And if you talk too much, Mevichet. Chet. Like Shmuel says. Yetzei ha'egel hazeh. Chet. Sufil. So if you look at that Mishnah, I have it in front of me, but I think we said it by heart. If you look at that Mishnah, so the Rav Bar Tanura says, Ala Makom, Chol Hamar B'Dvarim Mevichet. He says, where do we see chet comes from Marbet Dvarim? So he says that you see this by Chava, Adam's wife. What? Marbet Dvarim, that Hashem said, don't eat from the tree. And she said to Adam, when she was saying over, she said that, we're not supposed to eat it, we're not supposed to touch it. So the Nachash came and pushed her against the tree and said, nothing happened, right? You touched it, nothing happened. So the Nachash said, just like when you touched it, nothing happened. When you eat it, nothing will happen also. So like a Baal Tosef, that's the problem with that's the Gemara's example of Baal Tosef. By adding, too much is less, more is less. Because by adding on this one sivoy, so there's something interesting, something you got to be careful. Like, we make Xeris, Xeris, then what happens is, like, you're over this Xeris, you're not really over any Avera, and you're okay, but by adding, sometimes you're subtracting from the Iker. Okay, so it's okay. Once I'm not keeping the mitzvah, they knock the whole thing down, and that's how they came to eat the answer. So Kol Amar B'Dvarim, says the Rav Bar Tadura, that since she was Mar B'Dvarim, she added on to the Chet, she added on to the Tzivui. So Mar B'Chet, out of that came a Chet. That's what the Bar Tadura says. In the Medrash Shmuel, that's an actual Medrash. Medrash Shmuel, so he brings this, and he brings here the Medrash Shmuel. Here, take a look here a little bit. Well, you see at the end of the paragraph, Ayin Medrash Shmuel, Sham. Now, I spent time on this, so give me your time for a minute. Laya Medrash Iker Elam Amaisa. Umamela Nishma Kavanase al Sefer the Mishnah, in other words, something that he used to say a lot. Loya Medrash Iker Elam Amaisa. Umamela Nishma Kavanase. We all understood that he meant al Sefer the Mishnah Zuv Chol Amar B'Dvar Mevi Chet. They got to be careful not to talk too much. Lashon Rave HaMelech, and this is Nacha Drasha, that Marbe doesn't only mean to say a lot of, Marbe, Lashon Ravai, like rabbi, like master, that's the, I bet he started, they still call the Rav, the rabbi, not because of the rabbi in English, because of the rabbi means like my teacher, my master. So you call him Marbe, don't be arrogant in your teaching. That not to speak things which are too high to make yourself bigger in the eyes of the people that are listening, or the ears of the people that are listening. In other words, like, here's another thing to be careful about. Like, the issue is not to be able to prove what a big Talmud Chacham you are when you're speaking. That's not the idea. The idea is, how do I give people chizuk? And then he says, I in Medrash Shmuel, Sham. So, the Medrash Shmuel, Sham. So this is even in the translation I looked at the Svar, nobody, what Medrash Shmuel, where Medrash Shmuel, Sham. So, Medrash Shmuel, that he's talking about, Ladati, is the Medrash on Shmuel, and Shmuel starts off Sham. Let's see if I'm right. But the Sefer Shmuel Aleph, starts off with Chana davening for a child. Who was the child? Shmuel. So before she davened, beautiful Shira, so Min HaShamayim. So the story here is, Vayish Achad min HaRamasayim Soifim Mihar Ephraim Ishmael Kana ben Yeruchim ben Elio ben Toyo ben Tzuf Efrasi v'lo shtei nashim Shema Achas Chana v'Shema Shenis Penina. So there was Elkanah, and Elkanah had a wife Penina, and he had another wife Chana. Vayihila Penina Yuladim, Elchana en Yuladim. Penina had children, Chana did not have children, and Chana was davening that she should have a child, yes? So it says here, she became very depressed. Vayomer lo Elchana Isha Chana lama sifki lama loy soichli lama yera levavech. Why are you so depressed? Aloy anoichi toivlach me'asar abanim. There's an argument that never works. You have me. Okay, that didn't take her out of her depression. So, v'hi maras nefesh, v'tispalel al Hashem ubachai sivke. She kept on davening to Hashem, and she kept on crying. V'tidar neder, and she made a neder. V'toymar Hashem tzvakos. This was her neder. Im ra'ai tira ba'ani amosecha. If you'll see my suffering, uschartani, you'll remember me. V'lai tishkach es amosecha. Here, and you won't forget me. V'nasata la'amoscha zera anoshim, and allow me to become pregnant. V'nasativ la'Hashem, I will give this child over to Hashem, she said. Kol yimei chayav. I'll give him over. He's going to be Kodesh Hashem, this child. Umara lo yala arosha. V'hayaki hirbasili spalif Hashem. Eli the Kohen Shomer's Pia, she heard her davening. V'chani medaberes al liba rak sosel nois v'kol isha. She's davening, like, moving her lips. V'achshavel Eli l'shikura, and Eli thought that when she's moving her lips, she's not saying anything. And this, from here we learned that when you daven, you have to move your lips. Yeah? I know you're depressed, but you got to get off the bottle. Serious yedach me'olayich. Enough with the wine. Matan chana v'taymer lo yadoni ishak shas ruach. I'm not a drunk. Yeid v'sheicher lo shasisi eshbei chesdavshi l'deshav v'davening. I mean, until you know the halacha, it looks funny. Like if you see women on the bus, let's say, and davening, like they're moving their lips without even a sitter. It's like funny. so until you know the halacha, that's what you're supposed to do. So it looks funny. So Eli thought it looks funny until that. Anyways, at the end, she had a child. Hashem answered her tefillos. And she said, "Vayal yishal." And then it came time to go to Shiloh, to the Beis Hamikdash, to bring karbanos. V'chana lo yalasa, and Chana did not go. Ki amra leisha, she said to her husband, "I have this baby now. Ad yigomel hanar v'aviyos." The child's too young to take to Shiloh. The nearest pnei Hashem v'yashav sham ad olam. I'm going to wait till I wean the child, and he stops nursing, and then I'll take the child Shmuel up to Shiloh. And you know what? V'yashav sham ad olam. I'm going to leave him there. He'll be there ad olam. Well, that's because I made a neder saying that I'm going to give this kid over to the HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So let him stay there at Shiloh and do the avodah. That's where he'll grow up. Drop him off, and he'll be there yashav ad olam. V'yarmer lo Elkanah isha, and Elkanah said to her, "Asiyat tov beinach." Whatever you want. Shviad gam leichos, I sit here until you finish. Ach Yaacov Hashem es tvaroi, v'tashev ha'isha v'tenek es b'da ad gam la'os. Okay, so Rashi says, Adi Gomel, and he says, I'm going to leave her there ad olam. So Rashi tells us, and I found that it's here. This is a Sefer Musar Nevi'im, which is a likut of Chazal. The Psukim, so he quotes here the Medrash Shmuel. Baruch Hashem. Because I thought that the Medrash Shmuel, even though he says Sham, must be the Medrash Shmuel, ad Shmuel. So the Medrash Shmuel brings like this Chazal Medrash. Aber Rabbi says, what do we learn from Chana? V'haya ki hirbasa lihispalel. Hirbasa lihispalel v'nei Hashem ve'eli shomer's piyah. She davened a lot. Aber Meir. From here we learn Mikan. Shekol hamar b'tefillah nena. That the more you daven, the better it is. And kol hamar b'tefillah nena, you will ultimately be answered. The Gemara says such a thing. The Gemara says, Kaveh el Hashem, you should daven to Hashem. Let's say you don't get answered for your tefillah. Chazak v'yavei tzivecha v'kaveh el Hashem. So if you chazak yourself and daven nachabel, just keep davening to Hashem until Hashem answers. So that's the Shita of Rabbi. Kol hamar b'tefillah nena. You see that this Chana didn't give up. Omer Reb Levi. So Reb Levi comes and he says, Chana ayidei sherabsa b'tefillah, that Chana, because she davened so much, kitzra yamav shel Shmuel, she shortened the life of Shmuel. Shenamar. Because one of the things she said, yes, she has to daven, and she has a child. But then she went and she said that I'm going to take him there, v'yashav sham ad olam. I'm going to put him there forever. Now listen to this. Chana yidei sheribsa b'tefillah katzri yamav shel Shmuel shenamar v'yashav sham ad olam. What does that mean? Ad olam. Forever? He's not going to live forever. What does forever mean? What kind of, I'm going to keep him there. Finish. Why does she say these words, ad olam? What does ad olam mean? So the only thing that ad olam can mean, says Reb Levi, is ad olam shel Leviim. The only thing that it could possibly mean is olam shel Leviim. And like, what's the typical the typical period of time that a Levi stays in his avodah, the Beis HaMikdash, until he's 50. 50. ו"מבין", pasuk in Bamidbar, "מבין 50 שנה ישוב מצווה ha'avodah." When he's 50 years old, he returns from the tzvah avodah and becomes a family man. That's what happens to the Levi. So until he's 50, he's working in the Beis HaMikdash. V'ha ilul 50 v'tartin, and Shmuel lived until he was 52. There's another one. He lived until he was 52, and the answer is because she didn't take him there for the first 2 years. So it was 2 years plus 50 years. So she shouldn't have said this ad olam, because when she said ad olam, she limited him. He would have lived on and on and on and on. But since she said, I'm going to take him there ad olam, and I don't know if she knew this chazal. I don't know what her kavanah was even. I don't know. How do we know? Nobody knows. But since she said these words, ad olam, so says the Medrash Shmuel, brings from Reb Levi, we're talking Tanoim here, that ad olam, Kitra Yamav Shel, and Rashi brings this, but the Medrash Shmuel brings it by Arichas. So this is probably the Medrash. So this is a quote from the Medrash Shmuel. Let's look at the before Shabbat Shmuel. I don't have a Medrash Shmuel, but I looked online, and the Medrash Shmuel says, Mikan Omar Reb Levi, and from here Reb Levi said, Kol Hamar B'Dvarim Mevi Chet. So Baruch Hashem, here's our source. The Kol Amar B'Dvar Mevi Chet doesn't mean that Chava, you added it onto the mitzvah of Hashem Bal Toisiv. It means something else. You davened too much. You should have stopped right there. daven. Here she's davening, and her lips are moving, and she looked like a Meshigana davening so much, right? She said, no, like kind of a shikar are you? Everything's good, but the words ad olam you shouldn't have said. And that was Makatra, okay. Hashem says, I'm listening to you. And he lived exactly 52 years. Shmuel was like the Moshe Rabbeinu of his door. Tzaddik Yesod Olam. In fact, there's another chazal that says that Shmuel was supposed to live 120 years. He was supposed to live 120 years. That's what. And had he lived longer, so all the smashing from the Yalkut, that if had he lived longer, so all of the problems with Shaul, David HaMelech, and Shaul, like Shmuel would have been around to adjudicate and so many of the issues. Okay, everything's been a Shabbat, but Shmuel could have lived longer, and Chana with her tefillah maybe chet. So what was the chet? The chet was that Shaul was chayt, David HaMelech was chayt. There's so many that he died is not a chet. It's a crime, but it's not a chet. But chatoim, bad things came out of the tefillah. So from here we learn that not to be barba but tefillah.
But isn't it the problem wasn't that it was too much, it was that what she said.
Dainu, you have to know when to stop. So, no, Adrabah. So, like we all understand what's good about davening. What I'm asking is what's possibly bad about davening. Like, okay, so she said the wrong words, like you said. Okay, but why? What's the nakuda here? Like, what's the nakuda for us of kol amar b'tefillah mevi chet? Yeah, somebody asked Pshat?
Yeah. If you daven to win the lottery, when you win the lottery, it could be more chatam on you than anything else.
Mm-hmm. So you're saying a deep thing. Why?
You don't understand what's there for you.
You don't understand this. So if you're davening, I'm with you. So if you're davening, Hashem help me, give me a child. Okay. Now you're starting to give, and I want him to live this long, and I want him to. Now you're already taking over. Now you're already taking over God's position. Yeah, I heard you. Or to make it even sharper, like, do you think I'm not listening? See, there's this kaveh el Hashem chazek v'yametz libecha v'kaveh el Hashem. So you daven again. That's our ruchnis. That's our avodah, to daven and to daven more and daven more. When should we stop davening for our children? Never. Never. The Stipler writes in one of his, somebody asked him, how to daven, the Krina Dikrisa, he writes, somebody has like, is there a point that I should, like, stop davening for my children? So he says, I'm still davening for my son, Chaim Kanievsky. Still davening, my son, davening for him. There's no end to davening for your children. But when you start telling God what to do, and this is how long he should live, and this is what I want, then, first of all, you're putting yourself in Hashem's place. But second of all, there's something deeper going on over here. Like, you're not really having full emunah that Hashem is listening and knows what to do. Like, in other words, why do you think that Hashem is going to listen to, half of what you're saying and the other half he's not? If Hashem is listening to you, so now you have to be very, very careful what you say. See, it's always, so marbe b'dvarim may vichet. In other words, you gotta be careful. I mean, probably also in conversation, bakasha, like, just say what you need to say, and don't go further than what you need to say, because by talking too much, it's like, I always think to myself that Yosef was in jail, and he, as the Tsar is going out of the jail, is a chartani, you're going to remember me, yeah? So what does it say? Added, what does Rashi say? Added an extra 2 years in jail. Like what's the what's the big crime over here? He's davening in jail. HaKadosh Baruch was doing a nest for him. Is it just like Pan el Rahavim? Rashi says, like, he did a terrible mistake. But I always think there was, I remember that years ago. This is like what I understood this Rashi years ago when I was at a shul that we were having a hard time getting a minyan. So this guy came to speak to me, and he said, I'll help you out with the minyan. I'll come to the minyan. Okay, good. Nice. College. We had a discussion. So as he's leaving, so I said, so I'll see you tomorrow, yeah? So he said, now you're being insecure. Okay. I mean, the truth is, I really did not believe he was going to come to the minyan. He did come, but there's a certain, you have to daven, but you can't be insecure. Like the davening has to be, it's a very subtle point here, the davening has to be with a betachin, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, that he's listening and he's going to answer you. But if you're asking again and again and again, and you're being marba and you're giving over details to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, so then do you really believe in what you're doing, or are you just doing it? So it could be that Hashem said to Yosef, also everything's good, everything's working like clockwork here. So Chor's a Chartani. Okay, now you're being insecure. You're not ready to get out of the cooker yet. So another 2 years in the incubator of being the Gadol Ador, Yosef Tzadik Ador, you have to stay there for another couple of years until he can do it. So that's, I think this is the Medrash Shmuel as Chiddush. If you own a book, you can write it on the side. Medrash Shmuel's in Shmuel Aleph Pasuk Yud Beis V'Haya Ki Hir B'Sel Yispael Livnei Hashem. She davened too much, and that's the start. So here's the interesting dimion, just to finish off our paragraph over here, that there's speaking for a tzibur. Reb Chaim Volozhin speaking for a tzibur. He's being Megala Sod, because to be Megala Sod is a way of influencing the people and inspiring the people to follow B'derech Hashem. But then, if you go too far with that, so then what are you doing? You're glorifying your knowledge, you're glorifying yourself, and you're not trusting the people. So the idea is, in Lashon of Chazal, Megala Tefach. Like, a little bit, you have to have confidence in Hashem, I'm doing the Ratzon Hashem, and you have to have confidence in the people that they're getting it. Like, not everything has to be, in Yiddish there's an expression, "Man darf nicht als austeitschen." You don't have to, not everything has to be explained. It's a chesaron. It's a very dakistic, okay, as I keep saying, this is a book that's teaching us how to be tzaddikim. We're talking about a high level. But when you find yourself repeating yourself to make your point, so it means that you don't understand that you made the point l'chatchila. My hishtadlus was to make my point. I don't have to say it over 100 times. I made my point. My chiyuv is to inspire the people. I think just my personal, it'll be to be personal, but I just, sometimes like you think of the site, and then you can think of like 20 examples and 20 rayas to what you're saying. There's like a big Yetzirah to say over. So the truth is, nobody's interested. There's not a pilpul shear that said he was interested in all the rayas to this. He said, just make the point. And what you find is like that if you speak, not that I'm any master speaker, but if you speak, like the Ikar Avoda is to delete. The Ikar Avoda, it's like the Nesivos, famous Nesivos came to visit the Ksos. They were contemporaries in Bali Plukta and Halacha. So the Nesivos came to the Ksos, and he said to him, the truth is, he says, I'm a bigger Talmud Chacham than you are. So why is it that your Svarim are much more popular than my Svarim? So the Ksos said, well, tell me, what do you do? How do you write your Svarim? So he said, I get up in the morning, and I learn, and then later in the morning I write down all my Divrei Torah, and then I eat lunch, I rest a little bit, and then in the afternoon I write down more Divrei Torah, I go over it again, and I write more rayas to it, and more, to make it clear. So the Ksos says, I'll tell you what I do. I get up in the morning, I learn, and then I go over in the morning, later in the morning, and I write it all down. And then in the afternoon, I crossed it all out. He says, that's why my sefer is more popular than your sefer, because it's the crossing out. It's not the writing that makes it popular, it's the crossing. But okay, we're not talking here about being popular. We're talking about being Megala Tefach. It's a very deep idea, which transforms itself into the way we daven. A person has to daven with bitachon that Hashem is actually listening. Otherwise, what are we doing? And if Hashem is actually listening, what's the point of repeating? What's the point of in every single thing that we're saying? You speak to the tzibur in a way that they're actually listening. And this is when speaking to Hashem. And if you know something, just be Megal Tefach. The idea is not to show how much you know. The idea is to say exactly the amount that you have to say to inspire the tzibur and the rest. What's his beautiful lashon over there? He hid under his cloak. And it was disguised as if it wasn't there, and that was his derech, and that was the derech of Anava, because, as he's going to say in the next paragraph, because it's really all about the Talmidim that he was speaking to. It wasn't about glorifying himself. So if it's all about the Talmidim that he's speaking to, so just say exactly enough and not more. Kal v'chomer to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, who really understands everything that we're saying. I get it. You can just see Hashem say, I get it. I get it. I'll speak. Go to work. Okay.